Is to okay.
Okay, now you're good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Welcome, guys, to Hack28 podcast. We talk about everything cyber, cloud, AI security. I'm Kosinko, and here with me is
Ritvik.
yeah. So join us on today's episode of Bridge Weekday. Let's unravel this bridge together. So we have a top bridge today, and we would like to unravel it with you. So the topic of the bridge is Adapt Health says hackers infiltrated patient data in social engineering attack. So
Correct.
yeah, so let me share that with you guys. And all right, so this is a breach. So a healthcare facility was hacked, and the hackers stole data, information, password, and as you can see, it Adapt Health is an organization, is a healthcare facility, a
Hmm.
nationwide supplier of health medical equipment. So they also disclosed that they had a data breach that impacted and undermining number of patients, according to formal 8K filing with the U.S. Securities and Ex Commission. So, what's your take on this, Ritvik? What's your take?
So, I mean, before I really go into the take, right? Like, let's just go into what exactly happened at Adapt Health. So, to provide some background, Adapt Health provides home medical equipment, supplies, and related healthcare services, and its business depends on patient, management
Yeah,
applications, document repos. And so, the company said that this was a successful social engineering attack that compromised the user session associated with third-party contractor. Essentially, the attacker then obtained unauthorized access to internal patient management systems, cloud-based document storage, certain external EHR portals, and Adapt Health confirmed the exfiltration of PII, PHI, and also stored password file. And so the most interesting detail that I've seen is the attacker took over trust, right? So the most compelling detail is not simply that a contractor was socially engineered. It's that a contractor associated session was compromised. So if we think about this through an analogy, right? If we're looking at a typical login screen, you're gonna try a brute force approach. You're gonna try to break through that front door. But this is different because what you're doing right now is you're taking control of someone who's already been allowed through that front door, who's already been logged in. And so the
yeah,
company has said how the session was compromised, but we can assume that possibilities could include phishing, adversary in the middle, token theft, MFA manipulation, whatnot. And so this sort of shines a light on like why hospitals and healthcare organizations are attractive targets. And Kosiso, what is your take on that? Like, what do you think the cyber landscape is in terms of healthcare and hospitals, and why are they such big targets for attackers?
yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. So yeah, why they are such a big target is if you look at the security posture for most organizations, you will notice that things like facilities like hospitals, they are not so secured. Now, for financial institutions, they have requirements they have to meet, like the PCI DSS, the international ISO 2701. But banks, they don't have so much compliance to me, so they are not forced to implement security layers and posture for their organization, right? And if you look, bank are the most hospitals are the most targeted because they have a treasure on their hand, but they don't know they have that. Like we talk about the data, the clients data, the patients, the amount of information people use hospital every day. The people are admitted. It's open 24 hours. So it's a huge facility. It's a huge group of people that think that okay, their data is not worth something. Like in bank, when you get some information with bank, you can make quick money from it. Like you are withdrawing, you're getting credit card, you can get up to
Yeah.
like 1 million worth of credit card, and you have a lot of money when you try to use them to pay. Of course, 50% might work, 20% that's still a lot of money. But with banks, they don't see the same threat level. They undermine the threat landscape for hospitals. So yeah, I think banks should and I think hospitals should do more to look into their threat landscape, look at their gap analysis, and check the vulnerability that comes with health facilities so they can improve their security posture.
I think I agree with that. I mean, like, the common attack vectors that we're seeing within within healthcare is, right. Obviously, we have the ransomware, the data extortion, and there's been many real examples with healthcare organizations like Ascension, right? They detected a massive cyber attack in May 2024, um, where a ransomware attack disrupted many clinical operations. And there's obviously solutions to ransomware. There's phishing and social engineering attacks, but the real question is, how do we go about this, right? And so I think that is
Okay.
where something like CrowdStrike comes in. And I'm currently interning at CrowdStrike right now, but what I'm seeing with these incidents is these hospital incidents demonstrate that healthcare security cannot be reduced to antivirus or employee training. The attack may begin with some kind of phish contractor or maybe a stolen remote access credential, but the operational challenge is the same, right? It's connect identity, endpoint, cloud application, network behavior. And so,
Mm.
CrowdStrike with their Falcon endpoint telemetry, we can help detect or investigate malicious document execution, credential stealing, remote access tools, and then there's also identity protection as well because the Falcon package comes with identity protection to detect MFA
Yeah.
abuse, password splitting, lateral movement through identity. And so we have the multi-cloud, we have the cloud and SaaS, and so there's so many ways now
That
to
we can.
detect and trace these patterns due to
Yeah.
advanced next-gen scene technology. But I guess the attack surface is only growing. However, identity
Yes.
is the most crucial part with any attack. And Kosi, so given your experience, what is your take on identity and how identity is going to change specifically with AI?
Yeah, so organizations can look to improve their security controls and the access controls. That also comes with the ISO 201. So it depends on how they implement their policy. They can take the least approach and they can take the strict approach. The strict approach kind of helps them to break down each role to each user, make sure that the access each individual have is the access they're supposed to have at their level. An administrator should have an administrator level. If the administrator is reporting to a higher authority, they should have a minimalistic administrator level right. And then the user or the highest ranking officer should have the super admin right. So this is like an example, right? And this attack gave me a reference to attack that happened 2018 when a psychotherapist organization was hacked. I think they were called like Vastemo, is a Finland organization that was hacked, and so much information was
Right.
stolen. So much information, like millions of patients' data were stolen, and then this hacker, what they did when the organization refused to pay, they went to those hackers and told them that, oh, if you don't pay, we are gonna release your information out there. And of course, they were scared. But some of them is a therapist organization. You talk to your therapist, you tell them everything about it. So they were scared of the information getting out there. So they had to pay. It was a very big disaster. Actually, the hacker was caught in 2024, and I think around April 2024, which was when the news actually made it big wave, and the some of the clients came out and was also suing the organization. So even as a psychotherapist organization, it's your responsibility to secure your endpoint, your database, your data's, because once they get out there, you
Yeah.
have the full responsibility of managing those data, and your clients can always come and ask for your you can always ask for your accountability in whatever happens, and that's what organizations should make sure they are covering right now. Okay, so we can share the second comment that the CEO made regarding this hack.
Biggest thing
So
right now is that
mm,
identity and supply chain, right? So
yeah, so
supply chain is compromised identity. I think those are two
yeah, so
interrelated
following the
topics,
CEO
right? And the
said,
reason I say that
following detection. the company promptly implemented containment measures, including disabling the compromised user account and resetting affected credentials and implementing additional access control. The incident has been contained. The company is continuing to investigate the nature and scope of the incident with external forensic team. The full scope of affected data sets has not yet been determined, and specific information regarding the volume of data at issue is not yet available. And the company has since taken steps intended to mitigate the risk of decimation of the exfiltrated data. Well, this is a very recent information as at June 27, 2026. So they are still remediating an attack that happened 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Wow.
And so, what do you think, looking at the way they approach this threat?
I mean, containment is obviously the first thing that you have to do, right? Before you even check logs, before you even query anything, you first have to make sure that attack doesn't spread in any way. And that could be revoking access keys, that could be, blocking all inbound, outbound traffic, that could be, deleting that compromised identity, removing it from the network in some kind of way. Because I mean, the moment you start thinking about and you start conducting these investigations and you haven't contained the threat, then that threat is only going to spread. And you think, oh, you'll get to it, you're investigating. But that's not true because once an attacker is inside a network and they're inside some kind of code base or inside a server, they're going to move laterally through that network. And so that's why containment is always the first thing that you have to do. And I think that's what Adapt Health did as well. They moved to the containment strategy and then they took precautionary measures, forensics, whatnot. And so I think that's always the first step of incident response. Even SANS, right? SANS and leading a cybersecurity company, and there's also a framework for a lot of incident responders. Even they say that containment is the first step in incident response. So, yeah.
All right, yeah, thank you for your feedback. Right. So, looking at the threat landscape covering infrastructures and organizations worldwide, what implementary measures should organizations take to protect their AI usage and their cloud infrastructure? Because almost big organizations are migrating from local storage servers to cloud, AWS,
Right, right.
or whatever cloud they use. So, what security is? I know you have so many projects on cloud security, so I'd like you to share with us with one of them.
Yeah. So what makes cloud harder than endpoint, right? Is everything is a call, right? Everything is some kind of get caller identity, some kind of API usage call. While as the endpoint, there is a definite way of knowing, a C2 command. There is a definite way of knowing lateral movement, and so that's what makes cloud so hard. Is everything is an identity-based policy, and so when you're offloading training data to AWS and patient data, let's just say for healthcare, you have to make sure that they're first off it is safe. And what I mean by that is you need to find a way to make sure that the data that you want to query within your organization stays queryable within your organization, but that anything that you would feel that needs to be offloaded just because it takes up too much storage should be offloaded to the cloud. And the
Yeah.
problem, with many organizations that they're facing right now is they don't do that, right? So there's no concept of federated learning. There's no concept of, you know, again, fetching data from a model, to a certain location rather than just sending it to the cloud. And so when it comes to the cloud aspect is you need proper access controls, right? So you need proper access controls for your models, you need proper access controls for how your models are secured as well. And that's where the networking aspect comes in, right? So making sure that, like your training instances and then your model, that they both have, end-to-end encryption, the traffic is local, you're limiting the number of outbound connections that it can make. There's
Yeah.
a lot of networking, a lot of identity that's played into that, and I think that's the future of where that's headed. And models are going to be trained in the cloud, so it's better to secure them now than it is later.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Well, yeah, that's the last topic for today. So thank you for that huge insight into cloud security, implementing the right access control and networking. Yeah, so thank you. So today we'll be rounding up. Anything you have to say to your fans, Rich?
I mean, first off, right? uh, Keep reading, right? Anyone who's interested in this subject, you just have to keep reading about these threats, these cyber attacks, and just keep finding a way to build something, right? I mean, I'm a builder myself. I've built a lot of projects within the cloud space, within the AI space, and a lot of my inspiration comes from real life case studies like this, real life breaches that I've read about. And so I'm hoping that the people watching these live streams also take in the same inspiration that that we're covering all these breaches, and maybe you guys can build the next solution that may solve one of these breaches from happening. And I think that's where the future's heading, and that's where the future of cybersecurity is heading for the young generation. So just keep building, keep staying vigilant, and stay curious. Yeah.
Yeah, for that. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. All right, guys. Thank you guys for seeing this bridge with us. Join us on our next episode next week, Thursday. Let's unpack more bridges with us. All right, guys. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for unpacking this breach, guys.